Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to look at one of the important topics in Postman, which is called collections, right? So Postman provides you a way of grouping your requests into one collection, and we are going to look at these different topics, right? So how you can create a collection, how you can add requests to that particular collection, how you can add folders to a collection, or if you want to share your collection with others, how you can do that. What are different ways through which collections is useful in Postman, and then how you can delete or remove the collection from your workspace, right? So these are some of the topics. Well, there are lots of features of collections in Postman, and we are going to look at them in later sections also, right? So not wasting any time, let's go back to our Postman. And so what first let's understand what is a collection, right? So collection is nothing, it's a group of requests, right? So whatever request you create, you can group them into a collection. Now how it is useful, it helps you organize your complete workspace, right? So when you create lots of requests, you want it to group it according to some functionality or some project, right? So based on that, you can create different collections, right? It may be a collection for each project, or a collection for each functionality, right? Or a collection for your test pack, right? So there are different ways of organizing your collections, and that helps you to keep all your API requests organized in Postman, right? So apart from that, it also helps you in publishing your collections as a documentation, right? So Postman provides you this feature where you can publish your documentation. You can also generate that documentation automatically from a collection. So when you use a collection, you can document your API requests and then share it with others, right? So that's another use of collection. Now, you can also execute your APIs in a certain order using collection, right? So also you can automate your tests, right? You can run your automated tests from the collection itself. You also, we have talked about variables in our last session. So you can also create collection variables. So we are going to look at that also, right? So these are some of the uses of collection in Postman. Now there are several other benefits of using collections, and we will talk about it one by one, right? So going back to our API request, right? So we were using this weather API, and we just used a get request to get the weather of a particular city, right? And we passed this app ID. So we have seen how we can replace some of the values with variables, right? So we looked at both global variables and environment variables. Now I will show you how you can also use the collection variable inside this request, right? But first, let's see how you can create a collection, right? So there are a couple of ways, right? So when you go into collections tab, there is a plus new collection. You can click on this and it will show you this window, right? Or you can also create a collection from here. It's the same window. You can also click on new here, and it will also show you this option of creating a collection, right? So all of these will open the same window. These are the different ways of creating a collection, right? Now it asks you for a name and description first of all, right? These are the minimum things through which you can create a collection. You don't even need a description, but it's better if you give one, right? So let's call it weather API. We want to create a collection for weather API. And now this is a collection for weather APIs. Okay. So this is my collection. Now I will explain you what are the other tabs here, right? But first let's create a collection. Okay. So this is our collection. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to a folder. Now, this collection is empty, right? So collection is a group of requests. So whatever requests you have, you can group them into a collection or place them in a collection, right? So now, if you want to share or we already had a get request here created, right? So it's part of no collection. So if you want to save this into a particular collection, just go to save and click on save as, and then you can give a request name here, right? So get weather by city. Okay, so this is my request name, and then so this is our collection, which is already, you can select it, the weather API, right? You can also create a folder here, or if you want to search for a collection or folder, just type that particular name, right? Now you can save to weather API. Okay, so now what you will see is our get request is now part of a collection, right? So it is added under this collection. Now there are several other features here, right? So if I want to add another request, right? So I can add here another request, get weather by um, code by location, right? Something. So save to weather API, and similarly, you can add any number of requests here. Okay. Now, if I want to add a folder, so if I want more grouping here, right, apart from requests, I want to put some requests under one folder, right? So the folder name could be anything. So maybe I will keep it get requests, right? So create the folder, and the folder is empty now. Now what I can do is I can move these into this folder, right? So I will add all my get requests into one folder. Similarly, I can create other folders which will have some other requests like post requests or patch requests, right? So similarly, I want to group my request accordingly. So this helps you organize your request in a better way, right? If you have lots and lots of API requests, you can do this. Now, other things, you can obviously add more requests to this folder, right? You can add more folders inside. You can also duplicate, you can delete, right? You can also rename this folder. Okay. Now, if you go into the collection, you will see there are some, we have already seen how you can collaborate using a collection, right? So in our very first video, where we were talking about the workspaces, I showed you how you can create a fork, create a pull request, merge changes when you're working within a team and you're sharing a team workspace. You can do all these things on a collection, right? So it helps you collaborate with your team members effectively. That's another feature of collection, right? Now you can add request, you can add a folder, you can also duplicate this collection, right? Now you can also, there are two ways of sharing this collection, right? So you can directly go and click on this share collection, and it will ask you to select a workspace, right? I can select any workspace to share this collection. So once I click and click share and continue, it is going to share this collection with that particular workspace. Okay. Now, if you want to embed this as a button in your application, you can also do that, right? So you can click on generate code, and this will actually generate the code for a dynamic or a static button, right? So if you want to embed this API into your application, you can use this code. Now the other way is you can also get a public link, right? So this is the public link for sharing with anyone, right? So you can share this link and they can access this collection. Okay, so these are the different ways how you can share this weather API collection with others, right? Then you can also export this collection, right? So as a JSON file. So I can easily go and click on export, and I can choose a folder to export this collection. So this will be useful when we run different collections, right, from command line. We'll see it later how it is useful to export this as a JSON file. Okay. So these are different ways of exporting and sharing your collection with others or for other things, right? Now there are some other features, although I'm going to show you in later sections, but just to give a brief idea of what are the features available with collection is you can monitor your collection, right? So Postman provides you with a monitoring tool through which you can monitor your collection at specific time intervals, right? So it can be on a specific day or a specific week, specific month, right? A specific time. So in that particular time, it will run this particular collection and it will check for errors. If there are any errors, then it will report it back to you in the form of an email. Okay. Now you can also mock your collection, right? So it's similar to mocking an API, where uh, if certain parts of the API are not ready, you can mock that particular collection also, or similar to an API, right? Now we're talking about the publish, how you can publish your documents, right? So you can publish documents for your collection, and it is going to generate a kind of HTML page, right? So this you can share it with your team, or you can use it for yourself, right, for reference. So it will tell you all the details of this collection, what are the different requests, what are the parameters you used, how you it will show you how you can use it in different languages, right? So all these kind of things. So so this is a way of publishing your collection, right? So you can select environment for this. uh, you can select styling, uh, the colors what you want to use, right? You can also add it to API network or Postman templates, right? And once you publish this collection, now it is going to show you a URL where it will be available, right? So if I click on this URL, you will see a nice documentation which is automatically generated by Postman. Now this is a nice feature. What it does, it whatever you are creating a collection or the request which you have created in a collection, it will show, it will document it in this format, right? Now, as I said, you can generate it in different languages, right? You can do for JavaScript or HTTP, Go, curl. So whatever language you want, Postman can generate that particular code, right? It will show you what is the type of request, what are the parameters used. So all the information is available here. Now you can easily share this with your team so that they can use this API request in their own collection or in their own project, right? So these are the this is the way how you can publish your collection, right? Now you can also remove this collection from the workspace. You can also delete it, delete this workspace, sorry, delete this collection completely, or you can just remove it from this workspace. But if it is shared across another workspace, it will be available there, right? So so these are the different features of collection. Now, as I told you, uh, you can also, right, apart from publishing your documentation, you can also view this in web. It's almost the same thing, right? You can run this collection using collection runner. We are going to look at that at a later point of time. Now share API, I have already shown you both the options, right? If you have a monitor, you can monitor your collection here. If you want to mock your collection, it can be mocked, right? And the change log. So change log will show you what changes have been done on this collection from you or your teammates, right? So these are the different options available. Now, if you go ahead and edit this collection, right? So you will come back to this window where you have all the other options. Now, authorization, you can also have authorization at a collection level, right? So for this particular API, we don't have any authorization required because we are passing it as a parameter. But wherever you have authorization required for your requests, and they use the same kind of authorization, right? So for example, a better token, right? So you can define it at a collection level, and then you will not be required to define a better token for each request, right? It will automatically inherit this from the collection for each of your requests. So it's kind of reusable, right? So we are going to look at this later. You can also define pre-request scripts at a collection level. You can define tests at collection level, right? So some common tests like checking the status or checking the time taken, you can group those tests for a collection so that you don't have to rewrite them for each test. We'll also look at that later point of time, right? Now let's talk about variables, right? So I told you about collection variables. Now let's see how we can do this, right? So let's add a variable called city name, and I'm going to use here the current value as Delhi, right? And update this. Now the scope of this variable is limited to the collection, right? So it's not available anywhere else. It's available with the collection. So if your request is inside a collection, it can access that particular parameter, right? So let's change something here. We are going to use city name here, and you will see it's automatically updated, right? So it's now using the collection variable instead of the environment variable, right? Because it has got a um, limited scope than the environment variable. So the priority will actually change if we use the same name. But here we have given it a different name, so it will by default use it, right? Now, if I send this, it's going to succeed. So it's the same thing. You can use the environment variable, you can use the collection variable. The only difference is the scope of the variables, right? We can also use it from the prerequisite script as we have seen already, right? So there are different ways of using variables depending on the how you want to use the scope of that particular variable. Okay, so I think I covered almost everything, right, related to collections. Obviously, there are other things like how do you execute a collection from the collection runner, a postman, how do you monitor your collection, right? So those are the things we'll be looking at some later videos. But this is all about collections in brief. Okay, I hope this was clear and you got to learn something new on how you can work with collections in Postman. If you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave it on this video and I will surely get back to you. As a final thing, uh, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, QA Script, right? So I don't want you to miss any video which I post on a regular basis on any automation tool like Postman, and we have other YouTube topics also available in this channel. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe it, and we'll continue to deliver more videos on different topics. So keep watching and join me in my next video. Thanks.